You'd see a lot of reasons for people filing Chapter 13s. I mean, the big ones that you see, first and foremost is you have folks that are facing some sort of foreclosure action. There's a couple things that you can do in Chapter 13 in terms of a foreclosure. I mean, first is just the filing of the bankruptcy itself puts in effect what's called an automatic stay, which is going to stop the foreclosure, okay? And then, typically because they're being foreclosed on, they're behind in the payments. They have an arrearage that's built up over time. And what you're doing in Chapter 13 is you're proposing to repay that arrearage over a period of time. You have to go a minimum of 3 years out to a maximum of 5 years. But we propose to pay it, at a reasonable rate, basically under more favorable terms. So it's usually at 0% interest over a period of 3 or 4 or 5 years, just depending on how long the client really wants to be in the bankruptcy. The other issue that you see that causes a lot of people to go into Chapter 13 is they have a vehicle that they're worried about. They have maybe a threat of repossession because they've missed a few payments. And again, filing the bankruptcy will put a stay in effect, which stops the vehicle from being repossessed. Okay, so you get sort of that immediate relief right there. You don't have to worry about the repo guy showing up in the middle of the night. And two, what we're typically doing in Chapter 13 is we're taking that vehicle and we're restructuring that contract. And what we're trying to do is give the person more favorable terms than they originally had. Now, that depends on how long they've had the vehicle, how much power we have over it. There's what some people may have heard of as the 910-day rule, which basically says is, if you've had your car more than 910 days, we have more power over what we can do with it. But for most folks who come in, what we're doing with a car is we're restructuring that contract. We're stretching it back out over time, say 3 years or 4 years or 5 years to help lower the payment. We're changing the interest rate on the car. Most folks that come in here, and I guess most folks I think that go to a car lot, usually you get jammed up on your interest rate. That's where they really stick you. It's one of the last things that they tell you, when you're purchasing that vehicle. And so what we're trying to do is cap that interest rate. I mean, right now for folks filing bankruptcy, I'm usually proposing about 5% interest on vehicles, which is a big, help to our clients because a lot of them come in and they're paying 12%, or, if you're at a buy here, pay here place, you may be paying 20%, 28% on a car, which is ridiculous. So, we drop it back down to 5%, pull it out over 4 or 5 years, and that significantly lowers, the monthly payment on the vehicle, which of course they're paying through the Chapter 13 trustee. Another great reason to file, Chapter 13 is if you have, tax debt, you have tax claims, which come in a lot of different shapes and sizes, but, you can actually take tax debt and either discharge it in a bankruptcy if it qualifies, or if it doesn't qualify for a discharge, it's a priority tax claim that we can propose to pay. And we can propose to pay that at 0% interest. And again, you're changing the term. So you're stopping a levy, you're stopping a lien being filed. And what you're doing is you're proposing to pay that tax debt over, again, 3 or 4 or 5 years. Let's put it under more favorable terms in order so you can deal with it, And then finally, I think a big issue in Chapter 13 is a lot of people who are filing Chapter 13, have sort of the same problem that causes people to file Chapter 7, which is they may have a lot of unsecured debt. They may have a lot of medical bills. They may have a deficiency balance on a vehicle that's been repossessed. They may have a lot of credit card debt. And what we're doing in Chapter 13 is we're sitting down with them to assess their income level and the assets that they have to determine, how much we have to repay as far as that unsecured debt. Now, one of the fun things is that, here at Kelly Levitt, we're filing cases in what's called the Middle District of Georgia. And if you don't have a lot of assets and, you don't have a lot of income, you can actually propose a zero dividend Chapter 13, which means you're proposing to wipe out that unsecured debt entirely, So you're sort of getting almost the same discharge as a Chapter 7, which is a big boon because, again, wiping out that debt is freeing up monies that can be used to focus on your house, that can be used to focus on your car, these things that are a little bit higher priority in your life. And for some folks, maybe they have assets, maybe they have, a decent income, some of our clients are higher income clients, it still benefits them to go into a Chapter 13 and deal with that credit card debt, because what kills you with credit cards nowadays, is the interest rate. It's the late fees and the penalties. That's the game those companies play. And you can take that tax debt or that unsecured debt, like that medical bill, that credit card, put it into the Chapter 13 and propose to pay it, but propose to pay it at 0% interest over a 3 or 4 or 5 year period of time. So again, it's saving you a lot of money because it's usually the interest that's killing you.